Shalom people, this is Brother Laos coming at you with another video. And I want to talk to you today about being fully persuaded. In the book of Daniel, the 3rd chapter, we have the story about the 3 Hebrew teenagers, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Azariah, Hananiah, Mishael in their Hebrew name, when Nebuchadnezzar had made the idol of solid gold. And what Nebuchadnezzar had done when he had the vision of the idol, which represented the 4 world empires, with Babylon being the head of gold, Persia being the chest of silver. I think Greece was bronze, and then Rome being iron, the iron legs, and then the feet of iron and clay. Nebuchadnezzar decided, look, there's not going to be any more world kingdoms after Babylon. I'm gonna make a statue that's gonna be solid gold, which represents the fact that Babylon is never gonna go away. Babylon is always gonna be the mother of kingdoms, and I'm gonna embroider it in solid gold. Now let me take that back. Maybe it wasn't solid gold, but the outside of it was gold. And that should tell you the amount of money that Nebuchadnezzar had. It's estimated that this statue was cast in the plains of Dura, was probably about 90 feet tall. So you can imagine something that's covered in gold is about the size of the Empire, the Statue of Liberty. And he wanted all the people in the kingdom to come to the plains of Dura and to bow down and worship the golden image, because he's saying, by this I'm going to show Yah that Babylon is not going to go away. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the Bible has said that they had purposed in their heart that they would not defile themselves with the king's meat. They wasn't going to defile themselves with nothing dealing with Babylon. And so they told the king, you can't bow down. And, you know, if Yah chooses not to save us, know this, we still ain't gonna bow down. They were fully persuaded in their mind. And because they were fully persuaded, when they were cast alive into the fire, the Bible states that their bonds were burnt off their hands and their feet that they had been bound with, and that they were walking inside the fire. And the 4th person that was in the fire, when the king looked in, said, he looks like the Son of God, the Son of Yah. This was Yeshua in his pre-incarnate stage, that was in the fire with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Because they were fully persuaded, Yah came through for them. In book of Ruth, we have Ruth, who was the Moabites, who had married a Hebrew man, the son of Naomi, who her and her husband and children had fled Israel because of famine. And the husband and 2 sons died, and the 2 Moabite wives that they had been married to were continuing on with Naomi, and she had decided to go back to Israel because she heard that Yah had blessed them with bread again. And so she turned to the 2 daughters-in-law, 2 Moabitess women, and told them, look, it's time for you to go back to your family. It's time for you to go back to your gods. It's time for you to go because I'm heading back. And at first they protested. They said, no, we're going to go with you. And then she, just let them know, look, it doesn't make any sense for you to continue to follow me. I don't have any children that I can tell you that's gonna, be there for you to marry. She said, even if I married a man and got pregnant and produced more children, would you wait for him to grow up to marry him? She said, nah, you gotta go. And so at first, one of them said, no, Ophrah. And then she eventually left and went back. But Ruth said, no, I'm fully persuaded that wherever you go, I'm gonna go. Where you lay your head, I'll lay my head. Your God or Elohim will be my Elohim. And where you are buried, I will be buried. I'm fully persuaded that I'm gonna go the rest of the way. I'm not gonna let nothing turn me around. And Yah blessed her for her faithfulness, and that she was the great grandmother of King David, King Dawid. In book of Romans, the 8th chapter, around about verse 35 through 39, Paul talks about being fully persuaded in Yeshua and not letting height nor depth nor things present or things past to separate him from the love of Yeshua, which is the love of Yah, which is in Yeshua HaMashiach, of Jesus Christ. He said he was persuaded, fully persuaded, that he wasn't going to let anything stop him. We have to get to that state of mind. I'm talking to myself too, in these times that we're living in. The world has been in very terrible situations from the time that Adam and Eve fell. But everybody in this life has their own individual, personal situations that they have to be fully persuaded in at the lowest level, being fully persuaded in whatever it is that you say, I can't do this. I'm persuaded that I can't go that direction. That we must exercise some consistency and faith in that in order for us to build up to the kind of faith that we're going to have when these things more and more that's happening in the world starts affecting us. You might not live in the areas where the hurricanes is getting ready to come and probably wipe out whole towns and cities. You might not be living in places where these fires are consuming large swaths of forest and towns. You might not live in these places where these waves are crashing and washing away bridges and houses and all this stuff. You might not live in a war-torn country like Afghanistan that's now going to be totally ripped apart as the Taliban and ISIS-K fight internally to gain this strategic route through of the Silk Road that China wants for itself, and which will probably pay handsomely to whoever is in charge in Afghanistan. You might not be those people that see the tyranny and the death and the destruction that's going to ramp up even more after the U.S. forces leave out. You might not live in it, but I can guarantee you that very shortly, in short order, these different situations is going to confront us at our front doorstep. If in not that the same things that happen in those areas will happen in our area, or some other catastrophe. It's going to happen. And so now we got to become fully persuaded in our minds what Yah has shown to us for our individual lives, and what he's showing to us collectively, that he wants to bring the two sticks back together. That indeed Yah could be using all these different catastrophes and everything that will cause a scattered people to all go in the direction that he wants. See, the cry for unity is not being a one that Yah has not heard. Yah has heard that since he kicked us out of the land. But when he brings us back together, it's got to be in his own time. And I believe that with all these catastrophes and different things, these different meltdowns that's happening in these different countries, Yah is making the conditions conducive for us to start coming back together. And just like I stated in the video about the conflict amongst the brothers, that we will understand that we got to become fully persuaded in our minds and in our hearts that the word of Yah must come to pass, and that we don't want to go back to the way things were. You understand? Go back to the way things was when we see the headlines of this black one getting treated bad, or this black one getting shot, or see the headlines with more of our people falling into that riotous living and raunchy living. I don't want to go back to that. And I think I might have stated that on one of my videos. I don't want to go back into that. I don't want to go back into the wicked music industry parading our people out there as puppets to make us curse ourselves. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to in order for me to keep the peace with white people. I cannot be proud of the accomplishments of my people or the history that our people have without them saying it's critical race theory. Or when we talk about what actually happened in history that they did to our people, they get offended, they get upset. I don't want to go back to that. I think about Timothy when Paul talked to him. Paul talked about in the end times men would not endure sound doctrine. They wouldn't be fully persuaded in the word of Yah. They wouldn't be fully persuaded that Yeshua is the Father. Yah is the Father. Yeshua is the Son. The Holy Spirit is God the Spirit. They wouldn't want to believe that anymore. You got to be fully persuaded in your mind in these things, because things are coming to shake us off of our foundation. And believe it or not, it's not the devil that's doing the shaking. It's Yah that's doing the shaking. The Bible said that in end times he will shake the earth, and that which could be shook loose is going to be shook loose. That's why you're seeing even more divorces than ever. I just was looking at the news today and seeing where Stephen Curry's parents are going through a divorce, and I'm just thinking, man, this is crazy. I mean, they were the picture perfect family. Now, they're getting ready to get the divorce. That they're, not that being in the 50s is old or anything, but that was the image that they were portraying when Steph Curry came on the scene and started. Everybody kind of liked it, that that here's a stable black family, husband and wife. Is probably probably went through some things with him, being in the NBA as long as he had, but they was able to weather the storm and stay together. But now it's almost like all of it might have been a facade, and they really wasn't fully persuaded in this thing, working out to the end. That it was just a facade. And you can even kind of see the thing that was happening with Stephen Curry with his wife, when she was feeling kind of like, am I still marketable to other men? So again, we gotta be fully persuaded in so many things, but it's gonna take the Holy Spirit of Yah to help us stay that way. I always say, if Yah help me to do it, I'll be able to do it, because there's been so many times in my life where I, trusted in my own self, in my own abilities, in my own mind, that my mind is strong enough for me to withstand this. And I found out that's not the case. As Paul stated, Paul said, when I would do good, sin is ever present. So I don't trust in myself. I don't trust in my abilities, because I know that at any moment they're like sinking sand, and if we don't have Yah through this Spirit working in us to help us, none of us will be able to stand in these days. The Bible said if he don't shorten the days, even the very elect will be deceived, and no flesh would survive. So I want you to be fully persuaded like Ruth. I want you to be fully persuaded like Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I want you to be fully persuaded like Paul. I want you to hang in there, and whatever it takes, that's righteous now, to hang on, hang on. With that, I'll say, I want you to give this video a thumbs up. I want you to like. I want you to share. Leave a comment. Be blessed.